Loving the van. So I'm just out here making my review on the Samyang 35mm, but I wanted to talk a little bit about switching camera systems, why you should, when you should, if you even should, and why I switch, because I get asked so many times since starting my YouTube channel from all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube comments about why I switched and, you know, should I buy this, should I buy that? And the answer is going to be very different for everybody. It's not just, you know, switch to Sony because it's better. It might not be better for some people. So I guess first we need to talk about why I switched and what I was using. So when I switched to Sony, I was using a D750 and a D810. I had the 35mm 1.8 Tamron lens, and I had the Nikon 105 1.4, the new one. And they were my two main lenses. I think I had a wide angle zoom and a couple of other bits and pieces, but they were my kit that I would use for my work. I was never really into Sony. I was always kind of, like most people probably are, suspicious that they weren't really that good. You know, suspected they had certain issues with focus systems and colors and whatever. But my business started to change and I got into video a lot more. And actually the first wedding video I ever done was on my D750 and my D810, and it wasn't even, they didn't know I was doing a video. I just kind of done it for free because I wanted to experiment, and I was confident enough that I could do it without screwing up the photos, so I did it. And the result was great. I mean, that's debatable. It was decent, not as good as what I'm doing now, but they really loved it, and I decided it was something that I could sell and add onto my packages, and something that people really loved. But doing it on the D750 and the D810 just didn't really make sense. They weren't really good at it. Autofocus wasn't usable. That was the main thing really. Autofocus just was crap, and they didn't have stabilization, so they were a little bit difficult to use. Let's sit down and chat for a little bit. It's getting cold here now. So like I was saying, I switched over for a number of reasons, but one of the big ones was video, and the A7 series of cameras were much better at video than my Nikons ever were, especially for a run and gun thing where you can do photo and video at the same time. The next thing that really made me switch was iFocus. So originally I switched to the A7R2s because the newer cameras weren't out at the time, and the iFocus, after using it at a wedding, was just blew my mind. It was so good. And this is on the old cameras, so you know, even on the A7R2 today, I think the iFocus is still better than the Nikon and Canon EOS-R iFocus systems. Maybe not in all situations, but most situations, yep. So I ended up just shooting one wedding, and I bought one A7R2 and the 55mm 1.8 Zeiss lens. I kept my D810 and I kept my 85mm 1.4, and I think I kept a wide angle zoom as well. But anyways, I shot a wedding that weekend with it, two weddings actually, and I think the wind is going to be a pain this way. So that weekend, like I said, I shot two weddings with it, and I was that impressed that on the Monday I went to Auckland Camera Centre and I traded in my D810 and my 105mm 1.4 and bought a second A7R2 and a couple of lenses. So for me, it was more of a necessity, expanding my business into video, and you know, the ease of use of iFocus, and there was a few concerns at the same time, like battery life was crap and they only had one card slot, and you know, there was a few issues that I was concerned about, but the benefits outweighed my concerns and I decided to go ahead with it. Now, one of the things that I haven't found with my Sony cameras is that I was much more emotionally attached to my Nikon cameras. Maybe because I was shooting them for so long, but it was kind of like I would compare it to having an old car. So back when I was a little bit younger, about 10-15 years ago, I had a Mark II Escort, Ford Escort, and I was so attached to that car. It was a piece of crap. It wasn't a really mint one, but it just something about it, the old car style and the smell of the leather and all that, just really made me attached to it. And I guess, you know, I am a car guy as well. Obviously, cars would definitely be a big part of my life. Being attached to something like that was kind of the same way I felt about my D810 or even my old D700 that I used to shoot on. I really loved it. And even today, picking up an old D700 makes me reminisce a little bit. I think as creative people, we see camera systems the same way an artist would see a paintbrush, maybe their favorite paintbrush, or I'm crap at painting, but a canvas stand or something that attaches you to your work. So when you're thinking about changing systems, don't just do it because everybody else is doing it and it seems like the trend at the moment. Stop for a minute and think, is this something that I need? Is this going to solve a problem that I have at the moment, switching, say, from Canon to Sony? Is this switch going to solve an issue that I'm having? If it's not, and you're just doing it to get the latest and greatest, and you understand that's the reason why you want to switch, then fine, go ahead and switch, spend the money. I'm sure you'll love it. But if you're a working professional or a hobby or whatever you might be doing, think about the reasons why you want to switch. Think about what your current system isn't doing for you now. So my advice for this Tuesday, it's Tuesday, is to just really consider your options before you go ahead and switch. Maybe if you're on a 5D Mark III, or if you're on a D610 Nikon, is it doing something or not doing something that you need or you feel like you need? Maybe you need better low light performance, then that's a good reason to switch if it's something you're doing all the time. If you're hardly ever shooting in low light and you feel like you need low light performance, do you really? Consider the options. Something that applies more to professionals making money from this kind of thing, like photography and videography. Think about it more on a business point of view, like I did. Expanding into video was going to be a lot easier for me with Sony cameras. And, it was a business decision rather than something that I felt like I needed. I resisted Sony for the longest time because I just really love my Nikons. And I think another thing that people misunderstand is the importance of being attached. It can be a good thing to be emotionally attached or using equipment that has some kind of more significance to you than just a piece of gear. For example, when I have an old car or something I really like, I'll find an excuse to drive it. Not because I need to go anywhere or do anything. I just want to drive it and I want to experience the car and it makes me happy. Now, when you have that kind of feeling about something that you're creating art with, then that can aid in your creation. It can change how you feel about the situation if you really enjoy using a camera. So I think that is an important factor, and if you really don't like using the latest and greatest, then maybe it's not the best time to switch for you. But if you're going to take anything away from this, the biggest thing is just find a reason to switch. Don't just switch because everybody else is doing it or you've seen a really amazing YouTube reviewer like myself. Just see if it's going to fix a problem that you're having with your current equipment.